Hi, and welcome to Abnormal Psychology, Psych 245. We're going to have a couple of videos here in our orientation that should help you to get started and help you to feel comfortable moving forward with the course over the first couple of weeks. And in this video, we're going to be looking at our syllabus together. And you can locate your syllabus over here on the left-hand toolbar. So we're going to click on that. You'll see that you have both a syllabus and a college policies document. The college policies document has everything that is common across courses at the college, and so you should take a look at that, but you really only need to do that for one of your classes since it'll be the same for all of your classes. But our syllabus, if we open it up here, and I'll actually click here to open it full screen, is unique to our course once we get past that first COVID page. And we're going to look at this together just to make sure that you kind of understand the overall layout of how things are going to go for our course. It's laid out the same way all of your syllabi should be laid out at the college. So the initial information is about just the kind of where we'll meet. Obviously, this is an online class. All of our interactions are completely online and asynchronous, which means that we don't have any scheduled meeting times. You'll have due dates for work, but those are dates and not times. I do have office hours. I'm doing right now, all of my office hours are virtual. If COVID rates seem to allow it, I'll make in-person office hours available as the semester goes on, but right now they're all virtual. And those are on Wednesdays in the morning from 10 to 11, and then very deliberately in the evening, because I know for some people evening hours are much easier. This is the link that we'll use for all of our any meetings you have with me, and you could click right on it from here or save it elsewhere, and that'll bring you to my personal room in WebEx, and you'll log in, you'll wait in a waiting room, and then when I come in, it'll automatically invite you into the room with me. You can't just show up there. I won't just be sitting in that room virtually. So you do need to let me know, preferably an hour or so before, that you'd like to see me in office hours, and then I'll make sure to be there at a time that we agree upon. If you can't make those Wednesday times, I easily can make times on other days and times. So you just need to reach out to me and tell me that you need to meet and suggest some times to me. And as long as I'm available, I'll be happy to do that. You do need your textbook. I had sent an email a little bit ago to you guys about the textbook. I know it is costly. Feel free to rent it. Feel free to get a digital copy. But you will absolutely need the textbook, and I will expect that you read the textbook each week. So be sure to do that. And also be sure to take a look at the learning outcomes to get a sense of what you'll need to be able to do and understand by the end of the course, and also within each chapter so that you know what to expect for exams. So let's skip ahead here to our grading. We work on a 1,000-point system. Those of you that have had me, or maybe some other people for previous courses, this might be a familiar grading system. It's very transparent. So I like it because it's transparent. I also like it because in a 1,000-point system, you keep every point you earn. So in a traditional grading system, if you got an F on an assignment, maybe you got a 50 out of 100 on an exam, and that means that you got an F. It's as if you didn't show up for the exam, right? It's as if nothing happened at all because you get a 0 for that F. But in a 1,000-point grading system, you get the 50 points. You lose 50 points, but you still get to keep the 50 points. So you do get credit for what you did know on the exam, not just what you didn't know. And so we'll work on the 1,000-point system. You'll see these grades, these points add up in my grades as we go along. And you're going to earn those in a number of different ways. First, you have 3 exams. Those are essay exams. I will give you the questions the day before the exam opens so that you have a sense before you go into the exam of what you should be studying and what you need to know. And so those 3 essay exams are each 120 points each for a total of 360 possible points from exams. So about a third of your grade, a little bit more than a third, is about exams. You'll also have 2 required Blackboard discussions for each chapter, and we'll look at the chapter outline in just a moment. There's 14 or 15 chapters. So you have 2 required Blackboard discussions. One of those is a muddiest point discussion, where you were required to post a question about something you either didn't understand or would like to understand better, or something that wasn't addressed but is related to the chapter content that you would like to discuss. And so you can ask a question in any of those ways. You'll post a question and then eventually you'll reply to classmates and the questions that they post. So that is, you need to do both of those things in order to earn your points for that muddiest points discussion. And then the second discussion will almost always, except I think for the very first chapter, will almost always be a small group discussion. So the muddiest point is a whole class. The other one, the case study or prompt that I give, is in a small group. Through most of the semester, once we get to chapter 5. Sorry about that. My dog, I can show you my dog real quickly. He was barking. So we talked about the muddiest point discussion, and the other one will be this, will be a prompt, or most often a case study, and that certainly will be true for every chapter, starting with, I think it's chapter 5, once we get into the specific diagnostic categories. And so in many of those, you'll have a case or a prompt of some kind, and your small group will have a very specific instructions for what you need to do with that. And then one member of the group will hand that in to me. You'll be graded on that based on your level of engagement with the discussion. So I assign a maximum number of points that the submission can earn. So that's based on the quality of the submission from the group. But then after that, you'll earn the maximum if you've been fully engaged. And you'll earn less than that if you have not been fully engaged, and obviously 0 points if you didn't engage at all. So you can feel free to ask questions about that once once we move into once we're there'll be opportunities for questions about the course in the orientation. So each of those is worth 195 points. So a lot of your grade, right, almost 400 points of your grade, is about these discussions, and they'll happen every week. You'll need to be fully engaged each week, so you do really need to be engaged in the course, actively engaged in the course as we move through the entire semester. You can't just take exams and write papers. In order to pass the class, you really do need to engage in those discussions. It's also where a lot of the learning will take place, right? That's the substitute for us being in class together, and so you really do need to engage in those. So finally, you have a term paper that you will write for me. It's worth 200 points. And you're going to also submit a works cited page and an outline earlier in the semester as foundational elements. Those are opportunities for me to make sure you're on the right track, for you to make sure you're on the right track, rather than finding out you weren't when you hand in the term paper as a final product. And there's a separate video where I'll talk in detail about the term paper, so I won't do that here. But altogether, that's 250 points that you've got there. So that should add up to 1,000. And there are makeup exams at the end of the semester, at the very end. So if you miss an exam, the exams are open for several days, so hopefully you won't. But let's say you were ill for a whole week, you might miss an exam, in which case you'll have an opportunity to make that up, but only in the last week of the semester. Other work discussions cannot be made up because your classmates will already have moved on. The same with the small group discussions. There's no opportunity to make those up. So you want to make sure that you are making every effort to engage in those as we go along. Okay, so let's look at our calendar briefly here. And you can take a look at this obviously on your own. But the things to pay attention to here is we do cover a chapter a week. And so there's not time to really kind of take any extended time off from the course. If you're going to be traveling at any point, you do need to arrange to make sure you have internet access while you travel so that you can engage in the course. I will say there's a good moment to say that tablets and other mobile devices like your phone are not good tools to use to engage in the course. They're good to check things quickly. But the reality is that often discussions won't post from mobile devices, and you cannot take exams on mobile devices. Sometimes the worst is it'll look like you're taking it and it's not submitting work for you. So you will need to have a computer rather than just a tablet or a phone in order to engage in the class. So you can see we move through chapters, one chapter each week, and all of our due dates are on here. For each chapter, you have the day, always a Monday that we start a chapter, and then always a Sunday when we finish a chapter. And then in between, we always have work due on Thursday and Sunday. The expectation is you'll start your group work by Wednesday. So, the first half of the week, the Monday and Tuesday really are about reading your textbook and watching the lectures and getting yourself informed. And then Thursday to Sunday is really about you engaging with me and your classmates to make sure that you understand the material and to flesh out your information. All right. The only week we don't have work due, well, we have spring break week, obviously, and we're off. And then I've reserved the week before the term paper is due as a week when there's no chapter work. And that's to let you focus on your term paper, make sure you do a really good job on your term paper. I'll be available, but you won't have any work to submit to me that week. And then that Sunday, your term paper's due. And then that following week is our last week together, and we do our final chapter. Okay, so hopefully that gives you a nice overview of the class. The other video will be on the term paper, and we'll do that one next.